All right, joining us now here on Black and Gold Banneret. She is one of the greats when we talk about cross country, just anything involved with cross country, track, you name it. She is one of the best. And it's fitting that we talk to her here with the American Conference Championships around the corner. The most decorated distance runner in the history at UCF, the only track athlete to make nationals in cross country, outdoor, and indoor track. She's done it all while at UCF. I speak of Anne-Marie Blaney, joins us here. How you doing?
Good. How are you? Thank you.
So tell us a little bit what you've been up to. We know you tried out for the Olympics this past summer. We were kind of monitoring that, but overall, what have you been up to?
Just lately or ever since I left UCF?
Let's start with since you left UCF.
So I left UCF, I started checking out some other teams, professional teams. I didn't realize it was really an opportunity until I started doing some more research on it. And I knew if the opportunity was there that I wanted to keep running, since this will probably be the fittest I'll ever be in my life. So I was like, might as well keep that fitness going. So I started looking at a couple different teams, and ultimately chose Hanson's Brooks Distance Project, which is located in Rochester Hills, Michigan. And I joined a team with a lot of other ladies my own age, as well as there's a men's team, and have just been kind of progressing pretty similarly to how I did in college. But the only difference is I left behind the 1500 and mile, and now I've just recently ran a marathon. So, and I've been a part of this program for 4 years ever since I left UCF. So I would say everything's been going really well for me running wise. And yeah, I still love it. So I want to keep doing it for as many Olympic cycles as I can. I did qualify for the Olympic marathon trials, which were last year. And then I did the Olympic track trials this summer and came in 16th. So I definitely can see a lot more room for improvement in certain things. So I really think 2024 could be a really good year for me as far as the Olympic trials go. But in between then, I'm just going to be having fun, learning about the marathon and just improving my personal best in all the other events that I do as well.
Just speaking about the Olympic trials, we at the Black and Gold Banneret covered your participation in the 10,000 meter trial, which was this summer. But you mentioned that the marathon trial happened last year. That was in February 2020, right before the pandemic hit. What was it like to have to go that long between competing in Olympic trial events for the same Olympics?
It was interesting. It kind of, with the pandemic and everything kind of shutting down, and the opportunity for races were pretty slim. We just kind of really focused on just running. We never really stopped running. The competitions may have stopped, but we still competed against each other as a team. Since we pretty much here in Michigan, we pretty much all live together. So it really wasn't, we never really had to break quarantine to stop running together. Just a few people maybe on the outside or that had their own things going on, but a lot stayed the same training wise. We don't really get more breaks just because anything happens. So, which is the beauty of running. You can keep doing it even on your own. It's a team sport, but also it's an individual sport. So it was kind of a bummer not to compete and be able to put that fitness to the test, but we definitely as a team made the most of it. And I feel like I didn't get pretty down or anything like that. I know a lot of athletes were pretty bummed about it, but I don't know. I just knew the competition would come back and we would just be able to put our fitness to the test at a later date.
So can you talk about your experience at the Olympic trials this summer, and then afterwards, like what do you think you'd have to work on in order to get? You said you finished 16, so how do you think you will be able to improve that next time around?
I feel like there were definitely a couple things. The whole experience was truly amazing to just be a part of something like that, and just to reach certain qualification times meant the most to me because that gave me the opportunity to go and compete at that level that I know I'm truly capable of. And it was just finally getting into that stadium with finally having some fans was kind of bittersweet. There were a lot of fans there, not only because of the pandemic and everything opening back up that we had missed out on, but the fact that it was a long distance and women's event, to have all of those people cheering for us in the crowd was just an amazing feeling while we were on the track. I think improvements for later would definitely just to be I'm pretty consistent with my training, but just honing in on the little things I think matter a lot. Also, race day conditions were less than ideal. The event was kind of getting moved around a lot because the temperature was almost 100 degrees. We were supposed to run later in the day. We ended up running in the morning just to avoid that heat, because heat can definitely be a game changer in the longer events. So I think that helped, but also being from Florida, I think I can adapt to extreme heat conditions maybe a little bit better than other people who train at beautiful weather all the time. So, but I definitely think just having better weather and maybe just, I don't know, focusing on like my nutrition and all the little things, I think a little bit more could have made it a more successful race for me. But overall, I was very proud of how I ran, and I moved up from the back of the pack to almost the front. So that was pretty cool to see as I went through that race.
Now, you were at the Olympic trials. Another current UCF athlete was there as well, Renaya Jones, which we're following. Did you cross paths with her? Did you communicate with her? What'd you think of her, Renaya Jones?
We did not, actually. I wish we would have crossed paths. I crossed paths with another UCF athlete who came out to watch. I believe she was a senior and was done competing for UCF, but was out there to cheer. So it was really cool to connect with her. But I was following along on social media to see how she was doing. The meet is about 10 days long. So I believe her events were happening much before mine were. And we kind of fly in at different times. So I think I had just missed her around that time. I can't remember the schedule off the top of my head,
that makes sense, because I remember, the schedules are so different. You can't just all be at one place, especially with all the protocols that was going on.
Right.
But we got to make that happen. We got to get you two to meet, because she took a lot of UCF fans followed her through this run, through finishing second in the NCAA championships and things like that, really putting UCF track on the map. I don't know if you were able to follow that hoopla with her in the years she was having, but it's got to be cool to see an alum, somebody that went to your school there, kind of representing and being the face here moving forward.
Yeah, I feel like there's always a little bit of a special connection when you can find someone who went to your same school, especially because you don't see as many athletes from UCF as other, say, more like the schools that you expect to see there. I feel like you don't expect to see UCF there. So when you do, I feel like it's a big moment. So, and if I could have found like all the fans of something and was allowed back into the track, I would have been there cheering for her for sure.
Well, hopefully we got to set that meeting up. That's like two pretty good ones. I mean, she's off to a tremendous start in her career, kind of like your career. I mean, you kind of came out when you came to UCF, you kind of put some attention to the program in cross country. I want to ask you about that. First, what got you interested in ending up at UCF that attracted you to come to UCF? And obviously you made an immediate impact and it turned out to have a legendary career.
Yeah, so I feel like my journey was pretty interesting. I just always grew up, both my parents went to the University of Florida. They were Florida Gators. My dad ran for the University of Florida. So I just kind of always grew up a Gator fan and thinking that was the college that I would end up at. I wasn't really thinking running wise. And then through high school, junior, senior year, there started to be more and more letters from different schools. And I was like, whoa, there's more opportunities out there. And I remember being recruited pretty heavily by Coach Brown at the time. He was the cross country coach. And he came to my house and everything, met my family, and just, they seemed like super serious about me. And I did go on 5 other visits, one unofficial. And I was just like, I asked everybody, I'm like, how do you know what the right school is to pick? There's so many great things about each one. And a lot of schools I visited stood out to me, but what everyone said was like, just follow your gut feeling. And I think UCF gave me that gut feeling. I was like, I'm supposed to be here. I don't really know why, but I love everything about it. I was really excited to work with another team of strong women. And Coach Carroll had a lot of good success there too. So track wise, so I don't know. It's hard to say, but I truly had the best experience at UCF, and I wouldn't have wanted to go to any other school because I don't think I would be the runner nor the person that I am today if I wouldn't have gone there. And I don't know, everyone supported me academically and athletically, and I really think that just all around the trainers were amazing. The academic advisors really got me to a place where I could be successful, not only just in athletics, but in the real world as well. And I don't know, sometimes you don't really see that balance from other schools. And I am realizing that now, how lucky I was to have everything that UCF gave me. So I don't know, I'm definitely a very passionate alumni about UCF, and truly like never would say a bad word about it because it was awesome.
Well, you certainly made the impact while you're here. I have the record book on me right now. You still hold the record in the indoor mile, 3,000 meters and 5,000 meters, and the outdoor 1,500, 5,000, and 10,000 meters in the track and field. And then in the cross country record book, you hold over half of the top 15 fastest times in program history in the 5K and the 6K. Basically, when you look at both the track and cross country record books, you're going to see Anne-Marie Blaney plenty of times in both of them. What was it like to basically run those times, and how are you able to do that? And how does it feel to have made such a big impact on this cross country program?
I think I was just overall as successful as I was because I did receive that support. Support came in many different forms, whether it was my coaches and their coaching plans, or my teammates working together with them and just making it a really good time, because that's also super important. And I don't know, just kind of learning each season how to be a little bit better. I definitely stayed out of the training room as far as injuries go. I think that really helps, just training consistently. Training consistently and having fun definitely are the top two things that I feel like make the biggest difference. And somehow I got lucky, and I stayed healthy, and I just kept progressing. I feel like I had a PR almost every season, which I think eventually will lead you to, some of the records you mentioned, which is crazy to hear back now, all of them. But I mean, also those records are meant to be broken, which I heard that there's up and coming. I know I've already watched a few records disappear, freshman or regular ones. So it's bittersweet, be a little sad about it, but love that there are other people, making their mark on UCF, because I definitely don't feel like I want to be the only one that has all of those records. So I always get pretty excited for any of the up and coming people to kind of grab those. But
do you have a favorite record or event? Like I'm sure you just heard some of the records you have. There's probably more. We're humans.
Yeah.
We're probably forgetting a few. But is there a favorite one that you have? One that you're like, oh, that means a little bit more than the others. Either a record or just an event in general.
Probably. I would say it'll be a little bit of a sad day when the 10K record goes down. Because that means, I don't know, the longer the better for me. So I don't know. I think it'll be a little while before that one goes away, because the 10K is pretty intimidating. I feel like as you progress as a college athlete, the 10K distance is a little bit less intimidating. But at the beginning, I feel like freshman, sophomore, they're like, not yet. I'm not ready to be in this event. So that was definitely my favorite one, just kind of hitting the same pace every time, and you can just predict what time that you're going to get in the end. But Yeah, I think the 10K would be a sad one to see go.
All right. It's on record. Now, you mentioned someone that's been breaking some of your freshman records is Valerie Lestra, who was
Yeah.
the freshman of the year in the American in the spring, which is kind of a weird year. She's having a unique year in that she's having
Yeah.
two freshman years because they had their cross country year in like January, February, and now they're having their normal cross country year. They're getting set for the conference championships and all that. You've obviously followed a little bit because you are aware
Yeah.
of what she's been doing. You can relate to her, probably one of the few that can.
Yeah.
What have been your impressions on her from what you know, and describe what she's going through as a freshman? And there are people that are comparing her to you in a lot of
Yeah.
ways, which is obviously a compliment. You're the standard now, which that in itself has to feel weird, but yet you have to be proud
Yeah.
that people are, hey, this is the standard now, and somebody's trying to meet it.
Yeah. I mean, I hope she takes it as a compliment, sees it as some fun competition. Because I feel like I talked to the UCF ladies at the beginning of the pandemic or last year, and it just was so cool to like see the new faces on the team and just kind of hopefully share a little bit of my story, learn a little bit about their story. And yeah, I mean, I hope she's excited about it and having fun with it. I'm not really sure how the seasons work as far as COVID does, because that's confusing to me being out of it and then whatnot.
It's
And
confusing to us
especially
too. Don't worry, it's
Yeah.
confusing to us, and we're covering it.
Yeah. So, yeah, I hope that she just sees all these little successes that she has now and just keeps building on top of those, because I think that is really how I was really successful, was just kind of making those little improvements and small victories on my end personally, and then as well as with your team, and then kind of having those to move you forward and reach for bigger goals. As long as, yeah, she can stay in it and just still have fun with it. I could see her as, you know, a senior. It's very hard to make it all 4 or 5 years in athletics. So as long as she can stick it out and loves it, I think that she'll break a lot of records, to be honest.
Yeah, last year's actually freshman time is now the ninth in the 6K is now the ninth fastest in program history, which, by the way, you hold the top 7 times in the 6K. But Lastra is just one of many young people on the cross country team. If you look at the roster, while COVID does make things a little bit like, I wouldn't say misrepresented, but it certainly does complicate matters. But according to designation, all but I think 4 of the cross country team are freshmen. What freshmen? Have you ever been part of a team that is that young? And how do you think that would impact the dynamics of the team going now and going forward?
I mean, I would say it's always really good to start out each year with a pretty decent sized freshman squad. It's really hard to get transfers into the school. You'll never have as many transfers as you do freshmen. So the bigger the freshman group, I would say the better. Thinking back, I definitely was probably the last. I remember there was me and one other girl left by our 5th year, which not everyone takes a 5th year, but definitely even by my senior year, a lot of people don't make it through the whole college circuit. So I think starting out with a big freshman group allows everyone to kind of build together and just kind of figure out each year, like, you're more familiar with who you're running with. And then you're just going to continue to add on more younger people who will just hopefully join in. And then that's how you create that really successful culture, I feel like, on a team, and which I think Coach Jackson is definitely building. He looks like he has a blast with them and vice versa. So I just see like a really happy relationship there as well, which I think is huge. So as long as they keep doing that, the program will just continue to build, which is what I see. And, you know, UCF's been getting a lot of recruits and new teammates. So that's good, because if you miss out on, say, a freshman recruiting class, you get one or even none, then it's hard to build on that. So when you lose a whole group of seniors, it definitely makes it a lot harder, less bodies, and cross country is kind of all about getting the top few across the line. So yeah.
By the way, if you want to be a analyst in cross country track, you can do that. We'll create a spot, a Black and Gold Banneret cross country track analyst. It's yours if you want it.
That would be kind of fun.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool deal. Anne-Marie Blaney joining us here on Black and Gold Banneret. You mentioned you spoke to them prior to the pandemic, so you obviously met Dana Boone, the head coach, and then obviously Brian Jackson, you speak of, who runs cross country. What's your impression on Coach Boone and Coach Jackson and what they're doing at UCF?
Yeah, so I think I met with Coach Jackson and the team via Zoom. So everybody was kind of in their dorm rooms, and we just kind of talked about their up and coming season. So that would make it the 2020 fall season, where I think Coach Jackson wanted me to just talk to them about how, like, even if there's not an official cross country season that was allowed to happen, what that would look like for them. And I basically told them, I've been training. I haven't had that many race opportunities, and usually people find the racing opportunities a little bit more fun than just the training part, because it's kind of, you get to see your results of the work that you've been putting in. And I just kind of was like, I told them, don't lose faith. We'll be out there on the course, and you just want to be ready when the time comes. And that's what I said. Coach Jackson, I feel like, made it really fun for them, and hopefully kept their spirits. It seems like kept their spirits pretty high. I'm not too bummed about not having as many races as they would have liked. But I think they got a few races in there still. So it was really cool to talk to them. And then I did stop by, I believe, on the UCF campus and meet Coach Boone in person. She was probably like, who is this girl with like her parents or something waiting outside my office? But I just kind of wanted to introduce myself. I have a lot of memories, probably good and bad, in the coach's office. So I was like, I just want to see what it's like to be in there one more time, and just see how, the team's doing. And I really like what all of the coaches are doing there. And it's really cool to see, because I want success for the UCF cross country and track programs to continue. That was my hope, was to maybe pave the way for future athletes and show them like what you can do, whether you're going to a school that's well known for their cross country and track programs. You don't necessarily have to go to one of those to make it to nationals or whatnot. So I really hope that all the other girls can just kind of see that instead of looking at me as like competition. Because I definitely would talk to them, any of them, anytime they wanted to. They can reach out to me, because social media makes it so easy. So yeah, that's what I told the team when we met on Zoom. I was like, feel free to message me about anything, because I mean, I do a lot of running and a little bit of working, but other than that, I'm pretty flexible and love talking about running with other like-minded people. So definitely wanted to leave that door open. And I follow a bunch of the girls now after meeting them. So it was pretty cool.
You talk about paving the way, and it's funny because Afia Charles was recently inducted into the UCF Athletics Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And we talked, and I interviewed her right before she did, and I asked her about how her induction might be able to pave the way for other athletes in the track and field program. And since cross country and track and field are sort of together, and even in cross country alone, you certainly have set the standard. Do you think that with Afia's induction that we could see many more track and field and cross country inductions, yourself included?
Oh, definitely. I mean, a part of me was like, man, I want to be a part of this ceremony. So I think that's motivating for me, and hopefully the other girls as well. Like, wow, this is like, it's so cool to see her get recognized even later after her career's over. She's moved on to other things. It's just so cool. I wish I could have been there to support her myself, just because it's just so awesome to see another teammate have just as much success. And the track team, being a part of cross country and track, really meant a lot to me. It brought a lot of team diversity and different friends, and I honestly really miss that about having a track team, because now I'm surrounded by just distance runners. So I think about them all the time and still follow their stories and what they're doing. So yeah, I definitely miss my girls.
You did join UCF. You were an underclassman back in the days of the 2012-2013 UCF track team, which I've heard, which Eric and I have talked about as one of the better UCF.
Finished fifth in the NCAA championships in the outdoors, 2013. I mean, a superstar team. You were part of that, right? Afia Charles, Jackie Coward was on that team, right? Ariel Scott.
And Octavius Freeman.
Freeman. That's like the who's who there. I mean, those all of you all could be or should be in the Hall. What was your last year? Because I could probably figure out the math on when you're eligible for the Hall of Fame. Your last year at UCF was when?
Spring of 2017.
All right, so you're a couple years away.
So I did cross country starting in 2012. That's when I graduated high school. So so I was a part of that team. I didn't make it to nationals at that point. I think I was one person out from making it to regionals as a freshman. But I definitely loved watching the success on the other half of the team, and just made it so cool to still be like proud to be a UCF Knight. And eventually I got to join a few athletes towards the end, going to nationals. But
well, you'll be joining Afia in the Hall of Fame down the road. I ranked you 12th. We did a top 80 UCF female athletes of all time. I ranked you 12th, and people got back to me that I probably shortchanged it, which I probably did. But they're like in my defense, the people ahead of you are all like already in the Hall of Fame or about to be inducted. So trust me, you're not. It's a pretty incredible list.
I'll say this: if anybody from the cross country program deserves to be in, it's definitely you. We talked about your records. Although there is one question that I was actually very curious about. How often did you compete in the 4K when you were here at UCF?
4K? I don't know. I don't know if at all. To be
all
honest.
Right, I just wanted to. The reason I asked that is because Valerie last year actually broke the school 4K record, which is the one cross country distance record that you don't have. That was set by Ann Panaggio in 1998.
Now, right. In fairness, a lot of schools don't run the 4K, so it really kind of comes and goes. So you probably didn't get a chance to run that too often, if at all.
Yeah, I don't know if I did. It doesn't sound familiar because I would really have to go back and scrounge the book there.
Well, don't worry about that. A couple things before we let you go, because you've been tremendous so far with us, and we're definitely going to have you back. But I do want to ask you, going from cross country, then there's the indoor track, then there's the outdoor track, because you were successful, you had success too on all those levels. How do you do that? How do you adjust from a cross country to indoor season to outdoor season as an athlete?
They were definitely long years because you could see other sports, having their off season. But I do think we definitely have one of the harder sports. We don't necessarily get an off season, and your year is basically made over the summer. If you're doing cross country and track, your summer miles really set the tone for the rest of your year, honestly, not just one season. So you start in summer, you get a week, we probably got like 2 weeks off, but then if you can just start your training over the summer, everything will kind of segue into the next. So it's definitely doing cross country pays its dividends for track. Same with the summer does for cross country. So I would say, it all starts in the summer, and then it's nice that each season is a little bit different. Cross country is totally different than track. But then track also is almost a lighter mood. You get to add more people into the mix, and then you get to go back to cross country and you're working with your close-knit group, and then you go back to track and there's all these other events and different people. So I just think that really kept it fresh, especially when you're training all the time. You're like, man, when do I get a break? So I think that combination definitely kept me going. There was definitely some hard times where I was like, man, I want to go on vacation. That's why I'm taking my vacation now. But yeah, it's all worth it in the end. And the places that you get to travel on the team always made it worth it too. I did get pretty tired of seeing planes towards the end because you're traveling about every 2 weeks, I feel like. But I wouldn't trade it because I've been so many different places because of that team. So as long as you don't mind flying on some planes, then you get kind of like a little bit of a world tour. So Yeah.
So you talk about the differences between like the cross country and the track, and you know we talked about it as a whole, but how different as far as preparation? Like, is there a difference in preparation? Because there certainly is a difference from running like a 6K and a 5K or even a marathon to something that's the 10,000 or the 5,000. So is that, what kind of differences are there in terms of how you prepare for it or how you approach those?
Definitely summer is a lot of base miles, getting ready for the cross country races that are usually a little bit longer. So probably more miles, maybe not as quick of paces. But I would say the difference between the different seasons would be the surface that you run on. Cross country, we'd spend a lot of time out by the lakes and softball field, doing reps there, uneven turf and all of that, getting ready for all of the other, kind of lumpy footing courses. And then track, you transition to indoor, which I know we don't have probably any indoor facilities in the state of Florida, but switching to some more track workouts, which I think a lot of cross country runners look forward to because it's always fun to run fast. So switching over to that, but they still run a decent amount of miles either way, but we do probably more 400s and shorter distance things for track. And everyone likes to, test their speed. So that would be the biggest difference, would be the surfaces you're running on, and then the shorter, faster repetitions for doing different distances. So, yeah.
I would say give Terry Mohadra time. I imagine there might be some concept art lying around somewhere of an indoor track facility, considering the plans that he has, including possibly moving the track that they already existing track. So I'm sure that an indoor facility could end up in the cards eventually. But even then, I would say that your indoor record speaks for itself, and just for that, I mean, I think having all the other indoor track competitions there certainly would speak to, I guess, the history that you helped build here with this with the indoor track and field program, as well as the outdoor and cross country.
Yeah. And I'm going to follow as a alumni forever, I feel like.
And we might just have you on now as our guest analyst. Bryson may just text you. Bryson's writing all the recaps on cross country and track. He might just text you and say, hey, do you have any quotes, your statements on what you saw there? Because you got a natural for this. And it's been fantastic. You were on our bucket list. Last quick question. We got about a minute. When people bring you up in a track, down the road, years from now, what do you want people to say about you?
Ooh, that's a good one. What do I want people to say about me? I would say my biggest goal for running for me and everyone else in general is to just make it fun. I think that as long as you're having fun, you'll be successful in anything that you do. And so especially with running, making it fun for you, fun for your teammates as well. And a lot of people forget about it, but making it fun for the coaches, because they're people too. Yeah, it's their job, but also it's their life. They invest so much time and effort into the team, and they want to have fun too. They don't want to go to these traveling trips and just sit in their hotel room. Not like we should spend every minute with them, but they definitely, I feel like, enjoy being around the team and watching other people grow. So just trying to, I guess, I just want to be remembered by, kind of paving the way, or hopefully showing other female distance runners, what they can do and what they can accomplish if they just stay consistent with it and have fun. So.
Well, you've done that and then some. I may petition to just name long distance after you and just name it at UCF. I don't know. We'll figure something out on that. Anne-Marie Blaney, one of the greatest, the most decorated long distance runner in UCF history. Honored to join us here on Black and Gold Banneret. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a blast. We'll definitely be in touch with you because I can speak for Bryson. We will trust your expertise, and we might use you for some analysis because you've got a knack for that as well. But thanks so much for taking the time.
It was
thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I had a great time.